Good.
Hello.
Hey, how are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I am doing awesome. Did
Good.
the book come in?
No, it did not. I
Strange.
had to rethink about that. No, I just went to the mailbox this morning.
Huh. I mailed it out last Friday. It shouldn't have taken that long. And now I'm sitting here thinking, what did I do with the receipt because it has a tracking on it? Oh, Lord. Okay. Now I need to find a receipt because it shouldn't have taken that long because like you're right in Orlando. So, okay, I'm gonna double check that for you. Or maybe it'll arrive today. I don't know. But
We'll
yeah,
see.
I mailed it out on Friday. So okay, sorry about that. I was hoping you had it before our call. But yeah, how's your week been since we last spoke?
Um, Not that bad. It's actually been pretty decent with work and everything. The week prior was pretty hectic.
I
Uh,
remember you told me
yes, I
that.
was like, okay, this week everyone has behaved and is doing their
Right.
work. Um, but it's only 11, so let's see.
And it's coming towards the end of the week, so it's like, you know what? Whatever's gonna be, gonna be.
Yes, that's what I said on Sunday. My husband was like, "Did you prep for the week?" I said, "No, because whether I prep or not, stuff happens." So
Yeah,
I'm just,
I do usually do my weekly planning, as I call it, right? On Sunday. Of course, Murphy's Law, if it can happen, it will happen. But I was like, at least I have some direction because I get distracted very easily. So I'm like, okay, I have like some direction that I'm going in. And so if I am distracted, it's like, where am I supposed to be? What am I supposed to be doing? And it's like,
Mhm.
okay, let me get back to my notes and get me back on track. So kind of do that every week or whatever, like a practice for my organized chaos, right? So today we're going to be talking about mindset and money. Because like I
Yeah.
told you before, like it's very important that we figure out where we are mentally, especially when it comes around money and being intentional about where we're going to move, how we think, and if there needs to be a shift in our thinking around money. And that's kind of like around like what's our money story? Like what's that thing that has shaped our beliefs and our thinking around money? I don't know if you are you familiar with Bob Proctor?
No, I don't think
He
so. I mean, the name sounds familiar, but I don't think so.
yeah, he is like one of the drivers or the people that's involved with The Secret, the law of attraction.
Oh, yes, I did read that book a long time ago.
Yes, yes. And so, that whole, we attract what we think, our thoughts have power and being able to create the reality we want around our thoughts. And so he has a book that I'm reading now. It's an old book, but I've never read it before. It's called Born Rich.
Okay.
And a part of that, it's he's talking about our mindset and how that's broken down in terms of, we have our conscious, which is our control, the thoughts and decisions that we have. Then we have the subconscious, which is operating in the background, that's, feeding into our conscious, but also into our emotions. And then we have our body that pretty much execute the thoughts that we have. And so he talks about this concept called prosperity consciousness, where we create in our mind our thoughts around money and how we want to live and surround that. So I thought that was a pretty cool concept and something you may want to look
Okay.
um, into reading. I'm going to share my screen with you. Do you have any questions around our discovery call from last week that you wanted to ask before we get started?
I don't I
Okay.
had a question, but I can't remember what it was. I should have written it down. But I was just writing down like what was my assignment for this week earlier.
Yes. Let's see. Trying to get my little screen thing to come down. Um, and so this is our mindset reset and money story. Okay, your last name, is it Torres or the other name? What is it? M, start with the M.
Maslumi is my married name. Torres is my maiden name. So I kept
Oh,
both. So sometimes I forget to say my married.
it's still
I'm still
fresh.
getting
It's still
used to
fresh.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you pronounce your married name?
Maslumi.
Mazlumi. Okay. Mazlumi. Okay, because I've seen it like two different ways. Like I was like, oh, which one does she want me to?
Yeah.
I could just Stephanie. But again, today we're going to explore how your past experience and thoughts have shaped your financial patterns and how we can start shifting those with new mindset money tools.
Okay.
And first, I want to start with financial wellness and what that means. And it can vary obviously from person to person in terms of what financial wellness means to you. But the definition, when you look it up, is having a state of control over your finances, the ability to handle financial setbacks, and freedom from financial stress, and the capacity to achieve our financial goals. So, when you hear financial wellness, what's one word that you think about when you hear the word and that definition?
In this definition, I would say freedom from financial stress. That's what I would.
Mm, yes. It's the same for me when I hear or when I think about financial wellness, when I think about managing my money and investing and all the things that goes into that because it takes effort, it takes work. But when I think about the other end of that and again what it means to me and why it's important, freedom is the overarching thing that I am like always reminded of, especially those times where I may not want to be as diligent as I should be or be a good steward. It's like, you know
Mhm.
what, ultimately this leads to freedom and me being able to do what I want whenever I want and not have to worry about money. And that's pretty much why I titled my book what I title it is Live Freely. Freedom to work whenever, wherever, and just being work optional and living lifestyle is a priority. And so again, all of this is tied to our beliefs. And a belief is essentially a thought that you keep thinking. And the only thing that keeps you from, you know, who you really are and what you really want is essentially the belief that you have around it, which is only a thought that you keep thinking. And that's a Abraham Hicks quote. Um, what we believe has such an enormous impact on how we act, how we live our lives. In essence, our beliefs are creating the majority of the reality that we see. And they're not generic, they don't come out of nowhere. Rather, they're all learned, which means that we get to choose the beliefs that we are aligned with in our lives, in our businesses, and what we want. I always say that if you're not happy with the outcomes or what you see in your life, change your thoughts, change your life, because our beliefs, they regulate our actions, which gives us the results that we want. And so if we want to see change, if we want to do and get different results, we have to choose differently, but not just choose differently because that's the action, right? We have to start seeing the reality. I'm a firm believer. Do you do vision boards?
No, I always want to, but then I never do it. My business
Yeah.
does every year. At the beginning of the year, she does one. And I'm always like, I'm gonna do one.
Yeah, you should totally do it. I remember, and this was actually after I watched The Law of Attraction and The Secret and read The Secret. And I believe somewhere in there the guy was talking about a vision board. And I'm just like, what is this? I was a skeptic, but I was like, you know what, that year that I read, I was like, I'm gonna try it. And man, I'm not
Oh,
even kidding. Like a good bit of the things that I put on that board came to life, like came into fruition. It was almost like I manifested. And
yes.
it was so interesting because some of the things that I put on the board, for example, I always wanted to like take a vacation to Hawaii. That was on my board. Not knowing years later I would actually live in Hawaii. And so
Mhm.
that's the beautiful thing about when we begin to imagine things and when we begin to believe things, because sometimes, right, we only can believe what we know or what we choose to know.
Mhm.
And we don't know what we don't know. So how are you going to imagine something, or how are you going to believe something that you've never heard of? You don't have any concept of it. Like, for example, living on Mars. It's kind of hard to believe that if you don't conceptually have something to say that can be done. But imagine, like imagination is limitless. You
This-
can believe whatever, you can imagine the impossible and making it possible. And that can feed into your subconscious, into your conscious, and creating the reality that you want. But I say all that to say that when I started doing a vision board, there were some things that came into fruition in my life that I couldn't even imagine that was going to happen. But it all started with me believing, and not just believing, but actually seeing myself in those spaces, seeing myself on vacation, seeing myself at the closing table when I became a real estate investor. Before I ever closed on a property, I would like imagine myself going to the attorney's office, dressing up, and sitting at the closing table across from the attorney. So these are, and that's what pretty much a vision board does. It allows you to take those beliefs and thoughts out of your head, create a visual around it. But not only that, but to create a reminder that, hey, oh, this is what I believe. This is why I'm doing what I'm doing. But a visual reminder of what you would like to achieve in your life. And it's something I started. I would do it once a year. And then I started doing it with my daughter.
Okay.
And then I started doing my granddaughter, so we kind of made like a party out of it, and it's something you could do with your kids. And it's like, oh, we get the poster board. Kids love drawing and coloring and poster board stuff. So I would just make it like a whole fun activity. And then to the point where I started doing it with my community. Every year I have a vision board party. So maybe this year you can come to the vision board party because we do it the end of the year before the year kind of
Okay,
comes
yeah.
into, so we can start setting the attention for what
Mhm.
we want to have. So
Okay.
yeah, like it's a very powerful tool. So I would definitely encourage you. But again, it just kind of falls into this whole belief cycle and things that we like to see and make happen. And so one of the things I love to do with my clients is exploring your money story, and asking the question, well, what is your earliest memory about money, and what is your money story? What is that thing that has shaped your thoughts and beliefs around money? I know for me, I told you last week that I, you know, people know me as this coach, this author, and this financial wellness uh, coach, but there was a time in my life where I was struggling to pay my bills, you know, working two jobs, living paycheck to paycheck. And honestly, to me, I accepted that as a way of life, even though I was like, I don't want to live this way. But I'm like, gosh, I really didn't know how to do things differently. And it wasn't until my coworker, I heard her say she was debt free. And in my mind, I'm like, that's not possible, right? I was never taught that you can be debt free. I didn't have a belief around that. And so when she shared with me her money story and the possibilities of it, I was like, oh, this is possible. So that kind of changed my perspective. And then I started wanting to learn more about, okay, how can I become debt free? Because now my mindset has shifted. Because why would I try to get out of debt if I was told as a child that, oh, you would always have debt? And growing up in a household where we were just, you know, money wasn't a source of security, it was just a source of sometimes strife and sometimes just surviving and just trying to get by. So it wasn't a conversation of, oh, how can we thrive? And so I want to ask you, like, what's your earliest memory about money?
So I lived in two different households. So with my mom, um, well, in both with my mom and dad, I was just taught like to work hard to get your money.
Mm,
But I
yeah.
was never told how to budget or save or anything like that. Um, with my mom, I've always seen her like on QVC and she just buys these nonsense things. Like now it's nonsense to me, like it drives me nuts. But she's always had to buy something.
Yeah.
Uh, and that's what I grew up seeing. And then she gave me access to um be a user on one of her credit cards at like 17, 18. But
Mm,
I didn't, she just said, here's a credit card. That's it. Like no one tells you
wow.
anything else. So then
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I'll apply for my own. So then I got my own after that. And I just racked it up because I didn't know. I was like, well, I'll pay, buy what I want because that's what she
Yeah.
does. And I'll
Yeah.
pay it later.
Yeah.
Um, and then the same shoot, I was literally paying all my bills and everything minus rent because I live with my mom, starting like 17, 18. So
Wow.
I felt like I was just spending money, spending. Um, whereas my dad, when I came to Florida in the summers, I always saw him balancing his checkbook. Like
Mm,
every week he sat there at the table balancing his book. And then he told me, you should always get your check from work deposited into your savings and only transfer into checkings what you're going to use for that month so
oh,
that you're not
wow.
take anything else. And I remember it, but I just never did it because I was like, whatever. Because I'm with my mom all the
You're going
time.
back and forth. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay then.
Um, So honestly, at like 21, 22, I had to file for Chapter 7 bankruptcy. Because that was like '07 when everyone was
Oh,
getting
the
laid off.
recession. Yeah.
Yeah. So after that, I was like, yeah, I don't want to live like this anymore. So I moved to Florida with honestly like $300 in my pocket, and that was it. So I had to start from scratch. So I learned how to build my credit back up, how to save money. I read a ton of books.
Yeah.
Uh, and then I was able to like save money and buy my house and all of that. But I think I actually last year I paid off all of my credit cards before the wedding.
Mm,
But then this year I had to use them again because there was two medical emergencies. And then I switched the jobs, so I had less income. So sometimes when the income wasn't consistent for the month, I
yeah.
had to use them to pay the bills. So now I'm like, all right, I'm back to square one. Something has to change for me not to get back here.
Yeah. 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 I totally understand that. And believe it or not, that's more common than not, where we're not, we don't know what we don't know,
Yeah.
and we're not taught financial literacy in schools. I feel like now people are talking more about it in the education system, but definitely when I was coming up in school, they didn't teach you about balancing a checkbook. They didn't teach you about credit. They didn't teach you about savings. And then you graduate from high school, you go to college, and all of a sudden everyone is like, "Oh, get this credit card." And you're like, "Okay." Like you have no clue. And it's not until you're met with a financial emergency or a life experience. I know for me it was divorce that I was like, oh, wait, what? What is
Yeah.
happening here? How am I supposed to manage my money? And then for you listening to your money story, it becomes, okay, I'm learning financial literacy, I'm learning financial management, but what comes after that, right? If I'm financially free, what's the next step? And honestly, the first step is financial freedom. But after that, how can we create a life of wealth where, again, you're not worrying about money, or you're not, one setback can put you
Yeah.
back in a place that you don't want to be in. And so then that's the shifting from surviving to thriving, and wealth building and creating those emergency funds, but also creating ways for our money to work for us, and also having multiple streams of
Yes.
income, ideally passive.
Yes. priorities.
Yes. And so that's really kind of like what I'm hearing from you, that like that's that next thing is understanding and being able to leverage that. But I'm super proud of you for being able to figure things out, especially with limited education and resources. And you're like, you know what? I don't want to live like this. Um, and I'm going to figure it out. So kudos for you because some people get to that point and they just kind of get stuck or they feel ashamed and they just don't do anything.
Yeah, like right
Um,
now, my mom has MS, so she's still the
oh
same.
no.
Well, I don't know how long I'm gonna be here, so I'm just going shopping. And I'm like, all right, whatever. Like I can't
Wow.
I can't change it. Where
Yeah.
my best friend, my son's godparents, they live as you have lived. Like now they have been debt free for a while. So they have been like a motivation for me as
Oh,
well.
awesome. Yeah. That makes a
You,
difference when you are surrounded around people because we can't choose our family members and their decisions. Because my mom is the same way. My mom has honestly, as a child, I was like, okay, I know what not to do. I didn't know what to do, but I do know what not to do
yes.
watching her. So I guess I did learn something from her frivolousness with money. And to this day, my mom is the same way. She's 67 and she can care less about managing money, being responsible with money. And in my mind, like, okay, I get that. And I feel like that generation, they didn't have the luxury of thriving. They just were surviving. And so in their minds, like, oh, well, no, but it's like, well, what about the next generation? What about your children? What about your grandchildren and creating a legacy for them? Yeah, you're going to be gone, but your legacy, your seed, your bloodline is still here creating something for that. But sometimes we have to be the change we want to see, and hopefully it creates an impact or a shift in the people that are around us, and maybe they'll be inspired to to do better. Because also, like I told you last week, we're getting to an age, and your mom has some messes like I may have to take care of you, like. Like you don't, in my mind, I'm thinking I wouldn't want to be a financial burden to my daughter or my grandkid. But again,
Yeah.
I just think that generation just don't really think about things like that.
Yeah, I mean, my mom is pretty good with her money. It's just she can be better.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Even now, she still sends like random packages, and I'm like, stop buying things, please. I don't need.
Yeah. And it's probably like a comfort thing for her. And obviously, like when we shop, certain habits that we have, it creates dopamine, right? And you get this rush and you like, oh, you get excited. Then when you get the thing, you're like, man, you why did I buy this? I don't even know, but it's kind of like a high, really, when it comes to like shopping. It becomes an addiction because it's like this rush that you get something new. So it's not only just psychological, it's physiological. There's so many things that's tied to these things.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not as easy as saying, well, I'm not going to do it anymore. It's us creating first, again, mindset, and then creating actions, and then to create change. And so I'm gonna ask, what's the biggest financial decision? And this is going to be a two-part question. So the first one is, what's the biggest financial decisions that you regret that you've made?
Taking out school loans.
Mm, yeah, yeah, I think we all
Mm.
have dealt with that for sure. And then on the other side of that is, what's the biggest financial decision that you're proud of?
I would say my house.
Yay. Yeah, that's a big deal. Yeah, being a homeowner. I love that. I love that. And so with that, I wanted to ask, what's one, if there is a limiting belief that you may have around money?
Mm. Limiting belief, I would say that um I would say that sometimes I feel like I'm unable to achieve what I want to because I don't have the income. Like I feel like I
Mm,
always need more income to get where you want to be.
mm, that is definitely valid. And and I want you to write that limiting belief down because I think it's important. And I'll give an example to this point that I'm going to make. Even with me overcoming financial challenges, even with me understanding and learning about money, how to make money work, and actually making it work for me and creating the lifestyle that I believe and imagine for myself. I went to a conference last year and they did this exercise where they talked, it was like a transformational type of workshop, and it was actually for my speaking business. So I went to learn the speaking business and got far more than I had even imagined or expected.
Mm.
But they talked about limiting belief and what's one limiting belief that you had. And oddly enough, I still had residual limiting beliefs around money. I didn't believe that anyone would pay to hear me speak, or not even believe that. I didn't understand why would somebody
Okay.
pay me to hear my story. Like deep down inside, I still felt that. But the exercise that we did was, okay, let's address that. Let's write that down and then come up with a reframe, right? So your limiting belief is, I don't have enough income or resources to live the lifestyle I want, or I feel like there's not enough money and I need to keep making money to achieve my goals. And so we can look at that and create a reframe of, and this goes to the scarcity mindset and the abundance mindset. Because what I realized that even though I was thriving, I still in my mind struggled with the idea of not having enough and never wanting to be back in that situation. So I had to shift my mindset from scarcity, even though the evidence around me said I was good. I
Yeah.
still had to shift my thinking to, oh no, I have more than enough. I have abundance. I have enough income to live the life that I want. I am attracting the income that I need to live my life. I'm no longer chasing money to help me achieve my goals. Everything I need is going to come to me. I deserve it. I believe it. It's already done. And this is a reframe that you can use and an affirmation that you can say to yourself daily to feed into that because it has power. It all goes to your beliefs. Because if you believe you don't have enough income, then that is going to be the driving force behind your actions and your results. So shifting that thought, even to the point of sometimes we have to be delusional. You know how they say you have to be delusional. It's like, listen, I got millions in my bank account. Whatever I need is already done because that belief, that imagination is going to drive your actions. It's going to get you the results that continues to feed into our thoughts because our subconscious is working just like our conscious. And if we have things in the background that may be limiting us, it does have an impact. So I definitely would encourage you to use that reframe or create a reframe that's opposite from that and something that you continue to tell yourself every morning, like writing it in your journal. I don't know if you journal,
Hmm. Yes.
but yeah, I definitely encourage you to journal. Like even this whole process that we're in, I encourage you to journal and have these affirmations that you listen to daily, but journal your thoughts and how you feel as we're going through this and as you're going through this. And if anything comes up, definitely let it come up because sometimes we don't even realize those things are still there, but let them come up, let them come out, and then creating reframes. I love a good reframe to help you say, okay, what's another way that I can view and see that? Because again, these are now going to become the driving force for you in your your journey. And so one thing I love to do, and we talked about visualization. And so I would love to do a visualization exercise with you if that's okay. And my video probably won't play because I have like this calming music.
Oh, okay.
And so I don't know if you have like calming music that you like to listen to when you're going through your day to day. Do you have like that? Do you have like music or something that you do like
Yes.
when you feel
Sometimes,
like,
um, how do I say it? Like in acupuncture, they put this traditional Asian music. So I'll put
yes,
sometimes, but then I
yes.
also jazz. So like a
Ooh, I love jazz too. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So my video isn't going to play, so I was going to ask, could you like on your phone or something like that, could you pull up like the music and just you could just have it low because we're going to do a visualization. I like to have the music kind of like in the background.
um, okay.
Okay. Um, I want you to close your eyes and I want you to take a deep breath in and slowly exhale. And then again, deep inhale in, exhale. And one more time, I want you to inhale abundance and exhale any tension or stress you may be feeling. And now I want you to imagine yourself 1 year from now. You walk confidently into your home filled with love and your kids and your husband who admire you for your strength, your tenacity, your glow, and your success. You paid off all your debts. Your saving account is full. You have money in your emergency fund. Your investments and your businesses are thriving. You're not worried about money. You're in command of it. I want you to feel that freedom, feel that joy, feel that peace. See yourself sipping your favorite tea or wine on a balcony overlooking your dream destination. You feel light, grateful, and deeply aligned. You didn't wait for someone to save you. You became the wealth that you desired and deserved. I want you to take one more deep breath and repeat after me. I am worthy of wealth.
I am worthy of wealth.
I attract abundance with ease.
I attract abundance with ease.
I honor my money and it honors me.
I honor my money and it honors me.
I am building a legacy starting now.
I am building a legacy starting now.
I am the author of my financial future.
I am the author of my financial future.
Now you can slowly open your eyes. You are here, and your journey to abundance and wealth is already on its way. How do you feel like when you close your eyes? What did you see as you were going through that visualization?
A more relaxed life.
Yeah,
So I love traveling like to Spain and Italy, so I saw myself there
nice, nice. What part of Spain?
calming. I like Madrid, and then for our honeymoon, we went to Malaga for the first time, and
Yeah,
it was really nice because it's coastal, so it's more calming.
yes, yes. I love that. I went 2023. I did Santiago de Compostela. I did Madrid. Did Barcelona. There was some other places I went in Spain, but like, because it's so easy just to hop on a train.
Or somewhere.
Yeah, yeah. So I absolutely love that. And I like what you said about feeling calm.
Mhm.
And one thing I ask people, because the reality is money in and of itself has no value.
Yeah.
Like, it's just the only value that it has is the value that we place on it. And so, and this goes to the imagination when I talked about imagining the life that you want, because once you start and begin intentionally doing that, it's just a matter of time before you attract all these things that are happening in your life. And so I always ask if you didn't have to worry about money, you had unlimited money coming in, unlimited abundance, your bank account full, everything's good. And I always say, like, okay, well, what does that life look like, right? Because I know most of the times we are working towards something. But say, for
Mhm.
instance, tomorrow it arrives. What does that life look like? Like, what would a day in a life look like for Stephanie if money did not matter at all?
I would say mainly traveling. Uh,
Yeah,
I've always said that I want to homeschool my son and then just take him traveling.
yes, yes. He's not homeschooled right now.
No, he starts kindergarten in August.
Oh, how do you
So-
feel about that? He's going to school.
Oh, no, I'm fine. He's been going to
Oh,
school since he's 3. Please
oh,
don't. Yeah, go ahead. I just have concerns because he's still a bit nonverbal.
okay.
Um, Later on, like fourth, fifth, like middle school area, they will start bullying. So I'm like,
Mm.
maybe then I'll start homeschooling him if it comes to that. But right now, I'm like, he's fine in kindergarten.
Yeah, yeah. And that's a great thing too, that you're on this journey because you're now creating, you're in advance, you're creating that life that you can imagine where, again, you don't have to worry about money. Money's in the bank and that's an option for you to have. And I know last week we talked about, you were just talking about setting up a legacy for your son and what that looks like, you know, in the future. And one thing I listened to someone say, they talked about long-term care, but they were referring to it when it comes to like our parents. But I was wondering if that is a thing that you can look into for setting something up, like you pay into something. I
Okay.
think it's long-term disability or long-term care, where, something is set up if you're no longer here to provide for your son, that he would be taken care of.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's an option, but that's definitely something because that's something if it's available, it's like, oh, you can start like paying into that and having that set up like an insurance plan, right? To have that set up for him. So I don't know if you've heard of anything like that, but
No, what I have to do is put like my house into a trust. I know I have to do that for him. Um, but I'm like everything else, I like there's not much. I have his savings. Like I'm starting to
yeah,
make.
yeah, for sure, for sure. And as mothers, that's what we do, for our kids, especially if they count and rely on us, is okay, if I'm not here, how can I continue to care for them if I'm not here to be able to do that? So yeah. Um, and so again, this is just really the catalyst for the journey that you're on. Because like I said, everything that you told me that you wanted to make happen is already done. Like it's just a matter of you walking into it and you arriving at the destination. Like right now, you're on the journey to there, but it's is there waiting for you, right? But it takes intention, it takes action, it takes you taking the steps to doing those things. And that's what myself and me and you are going to do together in this partnership. Because I always say, I'm a coach, but we're partnering in this together, right? And I'm here to help you with accountability, help you with alignment, help you with any questions, help you with direction on your financial journey in every possible way um, that I can.
Okay.
And the next steps for your homework is those affirmations, saying those affirmations daily and making them visible. If you have like a post-it, if you want that reframe we talked about, just put it on a post-it and put it somewhere that you can see it every day, that you are reminded that, oh, I have more than enough and the income that I need is coming to me. So that's what I encourage you to do. And just again, just having a reframe and tracking that as a powerful tool for you.
Okay.
Um, So just to wrap it up, are there any key takeaways that you feel from this call today?
Mainly to shift my mindset,
Mm,
not to think of more, not to focus more on the struggle, but more of what's coming.
thriving, yes. Yeah. And imagine that and seeing that. Like I said, imagine and seeing what a day-to-day life looks like for you when you have achieved and have reached that destination. Because when you get there, you can be like, oh, I was already here in my mind. Like I already saw it. And then imagining the impossible, whatever you feel like in your mind that may seem like it's out of reach or out of touch, allowing yourself to believe that, like, oh, you know what? I'm going to open my mind up because your body doesn't know the difference, right? Your subconscious, like what you begin to visualize, your body, if you have an imagination, your body doesn't know the difference whether you being there or not being there, right? But your mind can create that reality. And so you get that feeling, that joy, and that energy to like propel you to reaching that, to bring that into the conscious world, believing that in the subconscious. Was there anything that triggered you that made you feel uncomfortable or emotional while we were talking today? That's good. That's good. So do you have any questions for me?
Yes, I remember my question from last time. But
Nice.
before that, in the meantime, before we start our plan, how should I focus on paying my bills? Like, should I follow like a snowball method or just pay as is until we get to that portion?
Yes. I want you to continue doing what you've been doing because our next call, that's where we're going to talk about the budgeting and the debt snowball and the goals and the savings and all that things. But obviously, before we even get to debt and savings, we have to go through the
Yeah.
budget,
Okay.
which I was looking at that too. I was like, oh wait, it's time to budget. So I was I was like, I would love to begin that conversation, before the first of the month so we can start talking about that. So I definitely want to see if we can meet again next week.
Yes.
Typically our calls will be spaced out more, but I was like, oh no, it's the beginning of the month. We need to we need to get on that because this is the perfect time. I always say is I recommend you doing your budget a few days before the beginning of the month, and that would be your planned. And then you go through the month where I talk about tracking and all that stuff. And so that would be your actual. And then reviewing that at the end of the month and then using that to then create the next budget. So definitely want to let's look at our calendar and see because the first is Friday. So if we can meet before Friday, um, what is this? Uh, And will the same time, because next Thursday works for me. I don't, what does your schedule look like next week?
I am taking off from work starting Wednesday, so
Okay, okay.
Thursday should be fine.
You're going
Um,
on vacation?
I don't know what to do because again, I'm thinking financially, like I have to be smart about this.
Yeah.
So I might do like maybe drive to Jupiter Beach,
Oh,
um,
nice.
2 hours from me. But then I was thinking of just doing maybe a resort pass. I'm
Mm.
I'm like maybe I will either do different things for myself, but stay home or go to Jupiter Beach. So that's what I'm trying to figure out.
Yes, yes. I love it. I love it.
Yeah,
Well, I'm glad that, what'd you say?
anytime on Thursday is fine.
Okay. We can do the same time what we did, 11. We could do the same time on Thursday. And if you want it, and I know you're going to start your vacation and you're doing something for yourself. So if you wanted to do it before Thursday, we could too. Um, and you say you're starting your vacation 30th or
Yeah,
the
Wednesday.
29th?
I mean, but
Oh,
Wednesday I have my son, so it's not really vacation yet. I'm just not
oh,
working that day.
okay. Okay, then we can do, the 31st, and if something changes or shifts, you could just send me a text message or an email and let me know. I'm definitely going to check on the book because, maybe you take it on your vacation with you and read somewhere in a hammock or something. I don't know.
I did tell myself I'm gonna lay somewhere on the beach and read my books because I never get to finish them.
I love, I'm the same way. Like I'm a beach person, so like I said, I have my hammock that I travel with. Like I have this little fold, like this little, and it folds in itself. And give me two trees, and I will lay out and read my book and just pure joy.
Then my other question is for later, but just so I can get an understanding, when I want to get into the real estate, would it be smart to get my own real estate license?
You don't need a license to invest in real estate.
Okay.
Now, if that's the pathway you would like to take, you can, because you would need a license if you wanted to be a real estate agent.
Okay.
And so the difference between a real estate agent and an investor, and you can be both, but there is a difference between the two. A real estate agent is someone who sells real estate. They're pretty much a sales agent. They work up under a broker. They work on commission. So it's like they're self-employed. That's their job.
Mhm.
Versus a real estate investor, there's someone who buy and sells real estate investment properties for cash flow, and it's a business.
Okay.
So if you want to go the agent, because I know agents who also invest, but also understanding, especially in this, depending on the state that you're in, when you are an agent, there are limitations and things that you have to understand when you begin investing. Because when you're an agent, you're working with a broker, so there's a lot of things you have to be able to navigate and work through. Um, but as an investor, you don't necessarily have those limitations, and you can always hire an agent to get the properties for you. So you really have to figure out, okay, what direction you want to go to, and you can start thinking about this now in terms of, okay, what is my goal for real estate? What do I want to do with real estate? And then, as we're coming to the end, we start talking about those things. It's like, oh, okay, then this is something I would recommend you to go this route. But just to answer your question, you don't need a license to invest in real estate, but you do need a license if you wanted to sell real estate. For example, I buy properties all the time. I don't need an agent. Have I used an agent before? Yes. My last property I bought, I used an agent, but the last three before that, I didn't use an agent. I just put the property under contract, went to closing it, I used an attorney, and that's that. Now, when I sell my properties, which I don't typically do, my portfolio is buy and hold, cash flow, but I have sold properties. I just hired an agent to sell it for me and just pay them the commission.
Okay.
So, so start thinking about what your goals is and what that looks like. But again, now if you're an investor, you definitely want to have a business. Is you want to operate it like a business. So um I do have a real estate investing company called Live Freely LLC that I use to operate my business out
Okay.
of. So either one of those things. What direction were you thinking about with real estate?
Honestly, in my mind, I was just saying if I can invest in one property per year, uh,
Yeah, that's what I do.
that would be fine. Um, I know like through my readings, it should be like duplexes or something.
Hmm.
That, but obviously there's probably other things I'm not aware of. But I was only asking about the license because I'm like, do I really want to pay an agent or not? That's where I was at. Mm.
Yeah. And like I said, there's pros and cons, obviously, right, with the agent, because like I said, you get the commission, but if you're an agent yourself, you still have to pay a broker.
Yeah.
Like the
So,
broker you still end up paying
yeah,
something. And you have to think about all the fees, which I didn't know because I thought about going the agent route and I learned about the fees they have to pay for the
yeah.
access to the MLS, the
Hmm.
commissions they have to pay to the broker, which I did not know about that. And even if you wanted to become a broker, so you're not paying a broker, you have to be an agent. Well, in Georgia, you have to be an agent, I think, for like 4 or 5 years. So understanding that pathway, if you're like, well, okay, I can be an agent, pay the broker, then can become a broker myself, understanding for your state what that pathway is and how long it would take, but also knowing that you have to, there's still fees involved that you have to keep up with. Yeah, yeah, I
Okay.
learned that. Yeah. So just
Yeah.
some things to think about. In a book, I would, have you read Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki?
No, but I think I have the Audible. It's on my list. The one I really liked was The Richest Man of Babylon.
Babylon.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That's in my list. I haven't gotten through it yet, but I'm glad you brought it up because I'm like, you know what? Let me go to that. I'm gonna go to that. But Rich Dad Poor Dad is a really good, I believe, a good introduction, understanding the business of building wealth and using assets to do that, right? Um, Particularly real estate. But another book that I would recommend, especially with your goal of investing in one property per year, which is this is what I do with my business, is The Small and Mighty Real Estate Investor by
Okay.
Chad Carson.
Oh, okay.
Yes, yes. Okay, so for next week, we're going to talk about budgeting, savings, and debt. So, and I think you pretty much already have a good handle of, okay, what debts you have, the list of debts and things and
Well,
savings goal and all that. So we'll talk about that next week.
okay. Sounds good.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, remember your affirmations. And of course, if you
Yes.
have any questions or you need help with anything, feel free to reach out and I'm gonna check on this book because I'm perplexed, like why you don't have it.
Thank you.
All righty, talk to you later. And I'll send this video to you too.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Awesome. Bye. Have a good weekend.